I'm pretty sure I know why this guy sold me this thing cheap. Because he knew he fucked with it and messed with it and screwed with it and colored in the coloring book. And got parts from different radios. This says R-599A on it. And I'm pretty sure he peeled the label off of the transmitter to try and make it appear to be that it was a match. And everybody else at the Hamfest kept walking past these things because they knew better. But I was the one that was dumb enough to buy it. But I got it for really cheap. But yeah, he boogered with them. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hams that don't know what the hell they're doing. And they think just because they're old that they're wise. And they're just not. So, I'm not saying that I know what I'm doing, but I know when I run across something that's been messed with by somebody that doesn't have the proper experience. We're going to go through here, and we're just going to do preliminary checks. We're going to check the voltage over here to see that if it looks like it's even close. And luckily there's marks on most of these cans. Some of them look like they had been messed with, but we'll see. The VR on the board is super sloppy from somebody's fat screwdriver messing with it. So that was, I think, part of the AGC problem was that they screwed up the VR. Anyway, let's get in here and see what we can do. Alright, so we need to check the AVR board and we get two ins and outs. 9.1. The other one. Now you see where it comes in right here. So 13 coming in. This looks like it's good. They don't really show you where to test it. This is really not the service manual for this. That's why I was saying this guy. This guy had probably, I think, multiples of these. And I think he ordered some on eBay. Took parts out of them. Did different stuff. That's one of the things with a ham fest. I tell you guys this all the time if you're regular on the channel. The nice old guy at the ham fest that's selling you something knows it's broken. He's already offered it to all of his friends. And none of them wanted it. And now he's selling it at the ham fest. Okay? The shadiest of people you'll run into will be in these places. So as long as you pay the price that you would for something that was broken, you're doing okay. And then if it works, you're pleasantly surprised. So where he really fiddled with this thing was in the IF unit. And so the S meter doesn't even read right. It's just a bunch of stuff. So, but there was a problem with something else. And this happens a lot. Somebody goes and turns every pot on the damn thing without actually addressing the problem. The last thing that you want to ever do is adjust a bunch of IF cans and hope that it will work better. It's almost never going to be an IF can out of alignment, except for when somebody like this guy got a hold of the radio, or whoever got a hold of it before him, or whatever. If you bought the radio since it was new, and all of a sudden it has a problem, these cans didn't start to walk around and move. So these are the last things you ever want to touch on a radio. In fact, you shouldn't have to adjust anything on any of these radios. Okay? Never. It's parts that go bad. Adjustments don't go bad unless it's just like you're off frequency a little bit, and that's because parts have aged. But you should never have to make a major adjustment to anything. These people don't get it. You just use your brain and think logically. How many turns out could this thing possibly have deviated by aging? So anyway, let's get into this. What do you see here? The purpose is to secure the specific bandwidth by adjusting the bandpass filter, BPF. You need a sweep generator producing the marker preferably at 3 points, 8.29, 8.59, and 8.895, which actually I could do quite easily with my SI 5351. But we're just trying to look and read this and see what might have been done. I'm not going to go this far with it yet. Connect the output of the sweep generator to TP terminal of the RF unit through a 0.01 microfarad cap. Figure 1. Where's figure 1? TP terminal of the RF unit. Okay. See if we can find it. That's the IF unit. I don't know actually where the RF unit is. It's on the other side of the radio. So hopefully he didn't mess with that. So basically you hook up to the RF unit, but then you go to the IF unit and adjust T4, T5, and T6. And here, you see he colored this in. So that means he probably messed with it. So let me show you. These are T4, T5. He had it right about here. And that's where they had it marked. That one looks a little boogered too. So we got T4, T5. You can do this by ear. T4, T5, and T6. It'd be better if you did it the other way, but we're just trying to get this close. I've done this a million times. So when you get a radio somebody's boogered with, this is a good starting point. And then it also helps you familiarize yourself with the radio. See if there's any weird things that aren't working right. Adjustments that aren't responding. I prefer to use a diddle stick, but I don't have one handy. Okay. We get T4, T5, T6. Would be the last one is right here. And that one looks like it's off. That's below VR2. Now you want to listen and see if it reacts when you put the tool near it. And what I do is I look where it falls off. I don't see anything on the front, but I don't know why there's two marks that don't line up. Maybe they intended it to be like that. Seems like the best choice right there. They marked it. They usually try and mark them like that. Okay, so Now what are they talking about? Adjust VR1 to obtain 15 microvolts indication on the AF voltmeter. Okay. That's the one that's loose. Disconnect the meter and connect the oscillator to AF2 and observe the waveform. Adjust VR2 to maximize output. And minimize distortion. He's highlighted that, so he's probably touched that. FM, blah, blah, blah. So, I think it's fairly close. So, I'm going to go through a few other things and just kind of read for a while. Oh, this is scary. All the RF coils. There's a ton of them. He probably messed with them. Right, well, he didn't get this far in the coloring book, so we got the S meter and some other stuff. Another problem I run into, I'm looking at the manual and it doesn't add up. Because it's not for this radio. This is a 599A. Not a 599D or a 599S. Alright, well I found extra parts floating around in here from something else. So, the biggest problem with this radio is this model is not very common and there aren't any service manuals that I can find anywhere. Use these stupid ass things here. Kind of boogered up right there. So when they're boogered like that, you kind of want to use a flat blade. So, the manual isn't real specific about where VR1 is on the RF board. Boy, it'd be so cool if it had those. So that's the noise blanker board. But we need to pull that off here to get to the RF board, which he's never had off. And that's the one that's responsible for a bunch of the stuff. But I can tell you, he's never had it off because the screws aren't boogered up and they didn't turn real easily. So, let's see. Are you serious? You seriously got to pull all that to get to that damn thing? That's very strange. Well, it's a little better than it was, but there's something else wrong with it. I don't know what it is. Both of those two adjustments were like super, super loose. So those VRs probably might be damaged. It's like they just like brutalized them. That one and that one. That one was fine. These things are like, I don't know. They probably need to be replaced. But when I sprayed them, they started to work better. So I think what's the issue is they were dirty, they were corroded, and he or somebody messed with them and they didn't really work. They might have damaged them. So by spraying them, brought them back a little bit. And they do seem to adjust normal, but they just feel real sloppy compared to certain other ones. The S meter reading is not quite right what it should be. It's a little low. but and also they affect the receiver performance. So that was another thing. When I sprayed them, all of a sudden the receive came up. Alright guys, I'm going to let it sit on the bench for a while. I'll come back to it later. I'm going to make some more coffee.